All right, hey there, Sam with you on Monday, November 19th, and we're going to do a Bitcoin update here, right? So members, of course, have had a couple of updates both Friday and then over the weekend from my partner. Those of you here on YouTube, I do need to correct something, an error I had in the account on the video on Friday. We'll get to that in just a sec, but before we do here, let's just kind of, sometimes I like to, as I often will mention, I like to strip the chart bare, just kind of step back from and say, all right, where are we? Right? Is there an Elliott count here that's helping me? If so, what does that look like? Where are we in relation to these prior swings? So this is an 8-hour on GDAX here, and we can just looking at the price action here. I mean, it's fairly obvious. We can see we're testing this structure here. So I can get that hot. So right, I mean, we are literally sitting right on it. Actually, we've gone a wick or two through it. But note here, you can see this very clearly, this low volume node that we have here. So this is sticking out like a sore thumb. So potential, now it's just potential. Potentially some support here. All right, this 3200 has been here since February, right? We know an algo sold that. It's going to stay short until we get there. Now we do have, that doesn't mean we must go there. We do have some other algo plays here that are very close. Now if I just take the most recent one here, so I'm just going to get this right on that pivot to this pivot low. This was just a perfectly technical. So if I zoom a little bit here, I know that gets to be hard to see. All right, so I'm just going swing high, swing low. This was just as perfect as it could be as we went right into the golden zone here. 65 held it by, it's just, it can't get any. I can't give you a better example, right? So then we come down here. Now we're that target is 47.85. A little trend line here that potentially, right? Nothing says that has to hold, but we certainly are coming down here to an area where we might look for a reaction. Now maybe we've already had it. Maybe the structural support there will be enough to contain this before we get this low, but I'm not prepared to call the bottom here. This wouldn't surprise me if we got a reaction there, but whether or not that's the bottom or not, well, that's where an Elliott count can help you. Now, I wanted to establish here and just kind of step back from this and say, could we be approaching a bottom? Well, of course, we've got this down here as well. So we've got this pride. God, I remember trading this. I remember that very well. So as we sit here now, we've got this, and then the next structural support down here is just above this algo target. So we certainly could make this move down here. Now, what appears to be happening, which is it's kind of bad news for the bulls here, is that this long area of support that we established over essentially the summer and the fall, this whole area down here that was holding as support, now of course will be the resistance. So if we were to pivot down here, we're going to come back up here, and this is going to be the resistance we're going to need to get through. Now you're likely to see a reaction there, right? That will likely, for a number of reasons, you'll see a reaction there. So if we were to come up here, do it something in 3, then the anticipation would be more downward. If we come up and we get an impulse, well, we have the possibility. So if we, again, I'm just hypothetically, if we come down here and we get an impulse coming out of here, well, it doesn't mean we're out of the woods, because that could just be an A wave of a larger correction. So, it's going to take a lot of things are going to have to go right here. Now, fortunately, in the background, as we all know, we've been watching this. If you're watching crypto, well, there's some good things on the horizon for Bitcoin, and as to whether or not that can dig us out of the hole, well, certainly the ingredients there. Now, technically, so this is going to be a challenge here to get out of this. So what we need to see, really, we need to see a fairly substantial break of this and then come back down and test it as support. That's the move we need. Now, again, a lot of good things are going to have to happen, and we're not there yet. So we can make a projection down here based on the Elliott count here and see how that's helping. So now I did this on Friday, and members got the correction quickly because we're able to do that in the members Discord. But on YouTube here, if you'll recall, I had a glitch in the chart I was using. I jumped over to another chart, and I didn't notice that I had an old count on it. So here's the corrected count. I did posted underneath the video on YouTube as soon as I spotted it, right, for what that's worth, right? So that was there. It didn't really change the direction or potential pivots here. It's just I had the AB as I had this as an AB instead of a 1-2, right? So that said, all right, so we've got one. So the way I'm trading this now, what I see here is that if, right, so let me back up here and because I've got to make this point here. If we are in a 3-4-5 coming down here, and we are going to stay in this very long diagonal, which I had mapped out on Friday. If we are in a very long diagonal, well, we do have an invalidation point down here at 100%. So if this is our third, right? If that's our third and this is the 4, well, we know the 1 is the longest, so we can't have 3 be the shortest. So we've got to pay attention to 100% here. So you see I have it marked off here. So this count gets invalidated if we get down to, that's 42.30, let's call it. So you have that invalidation point here that we'd have to rethink the whole thing. As I have it now, this is coming down as an AB. So the broader count was not incorrect. It was just the subdivision that I had. So if we're going to come down here and bounce, this is the ABC we're trying to complete, right? This is the ABC. Within that C, we're trying to get that subdivision to finish here. So if this is AB, then we're looking for 5 to complete down here, and it's got to complete ahead of this 42.40. So from that here, so the way I'm counting this now is 1, 2, potentially now 3 is going in, could be in here. 3, then going for the 4, and then coming down for the 5. Now, maybe we tag the median line, maybe we don't, but that's certainly down here as a leading indicator, right? So I've got a shift pitchfork on this, working from this proposed 4 into this AB. We can see how this has been fairly strong with supporting the market. Now we have a sliding parallel here on the outside as we got outside of it here. We can see a perfect tag here in what I have currently as the 3 wave. We don't know that we're done down here. We've just gotten down here and stalled here for the last couple hours, and understandably we're at that long-term potential. It's just that potential support, prior resistance offering a little bit of support here. Now, nothing says we can't keep going. So if let me go down to a 1 hour, see how this subdivision here. So it's a little, this range here, very difficult. It's an educated guess here. The way I'm counting it, I think we've got A, then we go A, B, so we have an expanded flat here into the 2, and we're putting in the 3. So 1, A, B, C into the B. You got to allow for this big move here to be the C, thus the flat, an expanded flat. Right, very common. So here we're seeing that if that's 1, 2, then we need an impulse here. So we have all of the ingredients for an impulse. So based off of that, so let me pull this off here just so you can see a little bit better. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Here's the retrace. That's where we left it on Friday, that the potential was there for this 3 to retrace into a 4 and then another leg down. So this is where we kind of mapped it out, as 38 would be an ideal spot for it. So 3, 4, down we come for the 5. We've got an algo target here. So potentially now this completes, it's just that. It's just the potential to be completing the 3rd. Now, we can use some of our fib swing relationship tools just to kind of look here and see if there's any other information we can gather from this. If this is my 1, whoops, wrong one, guys, sorry. If this is my 1, got some GAN swing tools on there, and this is my 1, and this is my 2. Let me change let's get the alternate price projection. Okay, so here's the most probable zone for our 3, right? We're not there yet. So I've got this down here. We could easily go through. Nothing says. So if this is 1, 2, we don't know that we're done here. We know that we've bumped into some structure here and we're getting a small reaction. It doesn't mean that we've got a pivot here. It's just we're getting a very small reaction. So our low here, 49.43, and we're sitting here at 5,010. So looking down for the subdivision here, I think it's more likely here. This doesn't look like that's enough to be done here, given the length of the 1 relative to the 4. So even, I'm reluctant to do this, but if you were trying to dig this out down here, do we have 5 in that? Can we get 5 out of that? It's essentially a free fall. So I just don't think that that's worthwhile. I would wait. I'd stay with the 60-minute. There's no reason to try and pick the low here. At some point, we're going to get a pivot down here, and we look for a 3-wave into the 4 and anticipate one more push down for the 5. If this is going to complete as our 3rd here, well, we can't be done just yet. So with that target in mind, right, so 3, 4, 5, we certainly, well, what else can we do? We can look for fib relationships within the swings here, trying to identify a possible target. So if we take the length of our 1 here, project from our proposed 4, well, we're getting kind of an interesting confluence here. So we get the 2 1618 175s on top of each other. So reasonable potential that this has got more legs to go to finish the 5 of the 3rd down here. This would put us at 4670 just to round it. So potentially now there's another push here. So if we were to get that, right? So just hypothetical here. So we're not done yet. So we've got to come back off of this. We need the ABC into our potential 4, and then we got to finish it with a 5. That's what I see here based on what's come from this low. Now note here, look at the volume profile over here, right down here on this one. This is just nothing here. So kind of good news, bad news. If we, let me step back out. If you look further out here, can I do it on a, I can't do it on a 60-minute, but the point being here, now, so for bulls, if we start to get some traction, if we start to accelerate out of here, there's not going to be a lot of resistance here until we get back up to 6,300. If you're just using, I've got visible range here. So there's just nothing down here. But equally as alarming, there's no support down here either. So as to where we're headed, again, there's just no reason to try and pick the low. There's no reason to do it, right? There's just plenty of opportunity. Just the risk reward is just not worth it. Right? So as I try and remind you to keep this little mantra in the back of your mind: buyers at lows create new lows. Why are you trying to pick the turn down here? Same thing I told you on Friday. Let something happen. Let's get a higher low. If you want to try and catch that, now down here, what would you be buying into? If you got a pivot down here and you get, oh hey, well I know that devil guy told me to get a higher low. Well, you got to be aware of where you are in the count, because that likely just the ABC. Now, if this gets traction and we get something like this and we get a big 5-wave push out of here, well, we still can't ring the bullish bell, because that could just be an A wave, right? So there could be a correction on a larger degree. So again, a lot of good has to happen. But regardless of how we resolve out of here, you simply, if you're applying the Elliott rule set here, we're not done yet. We're just not done. It's very hard for this to, now, of course, the count could be all wrong, right? I'm never here to tell you my count is the right count. I'm sure there are a lot of variations of this, but as I'm counting it here, I can't finish this down here. It's just, if this is 1, 2, this sure looks impulsive. This is the impulsive move down here. We've got all of this prior support here. That's going to be the resistance coming back. So maybe the 5's in here. It's very, very possible here. We were at that structure. That could be it. Right? Nothing says that can't be it. So anticipating now, what are we looking for? We're looking for something corrective of this move here. So this swing down here, we're looking for an internal correction. If it did it at the 50, just fine. So here we go. So this is the higher probability zone here between the 50 and the 38. We get just a very small bit of market acceptance here. We see we got a little more volume here at this node here at the 38. So potentially setting up there. Let's get this off of here. So if that sets up, then you've got to anticipate that there's one more push down to complete it. Right? That may, breaking those kind of levels, heading down towards, even down here, we got to watch our invalidation point is 4,300. Coming down here, 4,600, a revisit to the median line. Capitulation, well, you're gonna, you know it when you see it. It's kind of like that, right? So this, likely not it. Breaking 5,000, we've already snapped back above it. Likely not enough to be the capitulation. There's going to need to be just a complete freak out. I just don't think we're there yet. So all of that put together, you've got your fib swing relationships and your median lines here to kind of carve out the market structure and those fib relationships, looking for probability zones. As far as the path of the market, seems improbable to me that we are finished down here. Right? We know, as I remind you, anything's possible. Right? We could certainly do that. But what we're always looking for is what's probable based on the price action that we can see here. Probable is that if we correct out of this, off of that structure, I'm coming back here. So let me zoom back out. If we correct off of this structure here, just premature to anticipate that that's the low. So what this algo target is down here, 4,700. Still looking for another low. So I wouldn't be anticipating that just the fact that we've had a little bounce here off of this structure is enough to finish it. Now, if we get a little lower down here and the count we can resolve the count, well, maybe. It just doesn't look like we're there yet. Even here you can see it. So even if you're well, let me do it this way. If you're trying to count this here, even if we look here, it's kind of how we're counting it. Well, it would be A2, looks like 3, 4, 5 would do it if this third is going in here. So you can kind of see that, how that maps out here. And we had that low volume node here. You have this algo target down here. Seems like a reasonable place. Now we get down here potentially now with this, if we finish this way with this clean 5. Now you might start sniffing around for the first higher low that looks significant. Again, I encourage you to consider it on the 60-minute or above. You get something like that. That's tradable, right? Trying to get the move out of here. Until then, you're trying to be a hero. Just again, yeah, someone's going to pick the turn, right? But there's just no need to do it. Why do you need to be the hero? Wait, let this thing resolve so you can have more confidence in that first buy. You're buying against a 11.5-month trend. Right? You want to be the guy to try and pick the turn? Well, have at it. I would encourage you to be cautious here and certainly have a stop on it, but safer play. Let it pivot. Let this resolve. Wait for a pivot. First 50, tradable. Right? You know where your stop is. Right? You know if that's taken out, your count is invalidated. But then don't assume that this is 1, 2, right? Because of the larger degree, this could easily just be A, B, C, and then we're down again. So it's just ugly, right? So if you're a bull, it's just there's very little to cling to here, other than the idea that we're approaching some of these longer term algo targets. Right? We know the big one is down at 3,200, but nothing says we have to go there. And we have the potential for this formation, for this pattern to be completing down here. Right? So 47, 47.80, 47.75. I sure will want an alert to go off there so I know if we get there. All right, until then, certainly no buy here. Certainly no buy. All right, members, right? So my partner's driving you through some of the shorts that we've been doing. That he's steering you through. I'm not one to short crypto, so if you're a member, right, you have that option if you want to go there. So with that, I'll just remind you we've got this 3-day trial going on, 3 days for $7. So get you access to most of what's in the site. All right, just a reminder there. You can always that link will be underneath this video, and then you can always get more information. Either write us or over on our Twitter feed. Okay, guys, I'll wrap it there.